Welcome to another edition of Inside the Industry. I am Soraya Romero and I'm very happy to be your host for today's episode. Guess what? We are in Trinidad and Tobago and I have the opportunity to speak with a Trinity-born artist who has traveled the world and who has produced some of the best gospel music. With me today, please welcome Becoming Coleen. Hi Coleen, how are you?
So pleased to meet you. I'm fine, I'm doing well and very excited to be here with you.
Lovely. Now I understand that you are based in Italy currently, but you are originally from Trinidad and Tobago.
Yes.
So tell us, how does it feel to be back in Trinidad right now?
Well, I came in for my dad's 80th birthday, and my brother, my sister, my niece and nephews, and all of us, we were 11 of us last night.
Wow.
Secretly came in and surprised my dad and took him to the Caroni swamp where there's the bird sanctuary, and we had dinner on the river, and it was wonderful.
So sweet.
Just to surprise him and honor him.
Very nice, yes. Very nice. So tell us a bit about your background. I know you are from Trinidad, moved to Italy. How did that move even happen? It must be a long story, but we'd love to know.
Well, I was studying in America at the time. I did go to St. John's University like you.
Right.
Didn't finish.
Sweet.
Yes. And one day while I was also working in Bloomingdale's at the time, Bloomingdale's, Macy's, Trump Tower, etc., doing freelance work and a makeup artist.
Wow.
You know, and I was going home walking and this person followed me and it happened to be Massimo.
Okay.
Who ended up being my husband.
Wow. Interesting. And so your husband, is he also from Italy?
He's Italian. Well, he was Italian.
Okay.
Yes.
Understood.
Yes.
Wow, what an interesting story.
Yes.
So how long after did you move over to Italy?
We got married there.
Okay. Sweet.
Yes. We were engaged and then we got married there.
Okay. And how was the transition like for you being a Trinidadian, going all the way to Europe?
Very difficult. It was very hard for me because I was worried that I would not see other people of our hue.
Right.
And in fact, when I got off the plane in Milan, the first people I saw were Senegalese people selling their things outside of the airport. Mm-hmm. And I was busy, hi, hello. You know, I was so excited. And they just looked at me up and down and strips and then looked the other way. And I was like, I didn't realize that a lot of Africans are very, you know, they don't mix easily.
Right.
I don't think they were Senegalese because they're friendly. They were Nigerians.
Okay.
Oh my gosh, and it was hard. And where I ended up living is called Montecatini Terme. It was very difficult for me because it was a place where they had nightclubs and stuff. And so they had areas where the Russian girls and the Nigerian girls and so forth, and they all had a kind of like a stigma surrounding them. And so people would judge me because of, you know, just because of the color. And so I wasn't able to even walk around and do window shopping because I would get all kinds of indecent proposals, and it had a very bad psychological toll on me because I was very young. I got married and I was 1 month before my 23rd birthday.
Wow.
And so it was very hurtful and I did not know how to deal with it. And so I started modeling back then when I was many kilos less than now. And one day when I was explaining to them how upset I was and how hurt I was, one of them told me, you have to dress like a model all the time. So because they would see me coming in to hide myself in some kind of way, I'd put on very long skirts. I would not put on any makeup. I would have my Walkman at the time. I would have a book in my hand, shades, and I would walk. And I would not be stopping. So I would not be stopping to look at the windows. I'd be walking.
Right.
To protect myself in some way. And then when I told during a fashion show, I was talking to somebody and they said, no, you have to look like a model all the time, you know, so that people would think that you're a model. So then I had to start. I am the one growing up in my family. My sister is 1 year younger than I am.
Okay.
And she was an extrovert and I'm the introverted one.
Aww.
Very, very tall, quite shy, and she was short and round, very extroverted. And she would be the one putting on makeup and doing her nails as she got up. But at 18, 19, my mom would forcibly put on makeup on me, and I would be wearing tall high heel shoes with socks and things like that. I really was not the fashion anything. Right. So it was difficult for me.
Right,
it was really difficult, and I've been in Italy now 32 years, and only now, this is like maybe the second year that I'm feeling at home.
Right.
It took me a long, long time.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I'm sure someone is looking on and they also may have a similar experience of having to transition to a different country. And maybe they are feeling like, wow, is it just me having to go through this, you know, the cultural factors, the personal, psychological factors, all of these elements. So I'm sure it is encouraging for persons listening, you know,
I
watching
think that
us.
maybe if I were in a different area, because I am exactly equidistant between Florence and Pisa.
Okay.
And in a medieval town on the top of a hill. So there are only 3,000 inhabitants there, and so they're very closed minded. You know, when you see these films where you see like these little areas, these little towns fighting against each other, I think it's almost like that, because they're on the top of this hill, and then like the next town over would be like 20 kilometers, and then they would have feuds. And I really think that it's still stuck in some kind of way, mistrust of the English fails me sometimes, excuse me. And so outsiders are viewed in a certain way, even though it's not overt, but I feel it and I felt it. And even my son, he's 20 now, he doesn't have friends in our town. Neither do I really have friends in our town, you know, but I feel now that the smiles are genuine, and people have, in the Catholic Church, they invited me to sing. I've been singing in the Catholic Church for like every week for like 3 months. Okay. And so it was as though the priest asked me to sing, then they started to know that I was a Christian singer, and maybe there was the stigma of being the single mom as well. So I don't know what was passing through their heads at the time, all of these years, but it has gotten so much better. And also because probably because they know where I work and what I do now, you know. So it all has to do, if I were like in Naples and going more towards the south, it would be completely different. Right. Because people from the south are so friendly. Right. But people from Tuscany going up to Milan are the exact opposite.
Wow, well, we're learning quite a bit. I mean,
it's really hard.
Yeah. And I mean, we're streaming across the Caribbean, so I'm sure persons, you know, looking on from different Caribbean islands are happy to get some insight into the workings of, you know, lifestyles in Europe and your experience. So I'm sure people are, you know, very interested by the story. And so I know for you, growing up in Trinidad, it would have been a very big contrast, right? But take us back to your early days in Trinidad. I know that you're an artist and you do music and stuff like that. What was it like for you fueling your passion and getting involved in music from a young age?
Well, actually, I was the sister that did not want to sing. Because I come from a very musical family. Like my brother is one that he can pick up any instrument and play. That is a God-given talent. We had piano lessons and so forth when we were little, but I was not ever really good at it. You know, I would do the theory and stuff and do transpositions, but I could not play by ear. I could not read and play things that my sister did brilliantly. I was very bad at doing that, but I was very good at harmonizing and so forth. And my mom, she made us sing. Well, my sister was very enthusiastic about that, but I was the shy one, did not want to sing. And since I was 7 until I was around 16, we would sing at all the concerts, the Christmas concerts, the plays, and our family. At the time, my dad would be... we would frequent the Revival Time Assembly in San Fernando. Yeah. And my dad was head of the Revival Voices, and at the time there was Pastor Ulseth, and we went to Canada twice touring with them because they had a group called the Revival Voices children's group, beautiful. And we went to Antigua and Montserrat, and we ended up learning how to sing in front of people. But it's one thing singing in a group. Yeah. It's another thing duetting or singing, you know, being a soloist. Yeah. And I was terrified. Right. And I would get fever and headaches and crying and not sleeping and hysterics before I had to go on stage, and I had to sing even though I did not want to. And And so when I was 16, and this, Bible time was this huge thing, and we had this concert, and I had sore throat, and I asked the pianist to lower the song one tone, and she went up one tone.
Ooh.
I believe it was on purpose, because she should not have done that anyway. And I was, when I noticed right away that the note was off, but you're not supposed to let people know that something is wrong. So I tried and opened my mouth, and nothing came out.
Oh, wow.
And the little boy that had was right there looking on, and I was so embarrassed. Aww. Oh my Lord. And so when I came on stage now, I was singing with my sister. She sang, I didn't sing. My mom said, of course, you had to ruin everything. And I just took it. But when the pastor came down, it was Pastor Hart. Oh, you blessed me with your song. That was so not untrue. I was like, what a big lie is that? I started crying. I cried all the tears I could possibly cry. And then we had to go home and walk through the congregation, and I refused to go.
Wow.
And so the pastor had to go home, get the key to the back gate, open the back gate, and let me out.
Wow.
And I refused to go to church. Oh my Lord, the next day there was church, and I didn't want to go. It was a crying session.
Aww.
And I
How
was
old were you said?
I was 16, and I was 16. So traumatized by that thing that until 34 years old, I never sang anything.
Wow.
Not even happy birthday to you.
Wow.
Nothing. And then one time I decided to overcome my fears. The American show called The Gong Show? Mm-hmm. Right. Well, they had an Italian one, La Corrida. And I decided, either they boo me and so I will never try to sing again, or they might halfway clap and I will try to overcome this fear. So I did the audition for that and another show that they were doing, and they called me back.
Wow.
And then when I went to the corrida now, they picked me up in this, they had this chauffeur and thing. I was like, hey, what's going on? And then when I got there, they told me you are the guest of the evening, and I went into a total panic.
All of these.
Because it's one thing if you're going to be, a contestant. Another thing to tell you the guest of the evening.
Yes.
And I was so afraid.
Yeah.
And then one of the writers of because I would see the people passing by with these huge cymbals and, the things to make noise and graters to make noise. And they were always very rambunctious. And I was so afraid.
Aww.
And then when, they told me, well, sing Proud Mary by... I don't remember the band's name, and then sing it like how Tina sing it. I was like, who, me? I cannot do that. So I was already, and he said,
more pressure.
He said, we heard you sing, you can do it. You in the film Shining, where this guy, sometimes he could and sometimes he couldn't, but you can go for it and overcome your fears. And I was like, I can do it this time, I can do it. And I was sweating off all my makeup. And then, something's wrong with this child. She just be put on the makeup. She's, sweating off all. I was, so terrified. But I did go. I told them, don't interview me because I cannot speak. And I sang and people clapped.
Oh, beautiful. And
when they clapped, I was already crying on stage.
Oh.
It was one of the biggest victories of my lifetime.
Yes. You faced your face.
Also because they had a 60-piece orchestra. Wow. And I was like, this is something, how can I ever do it? And from there, little by little, and the first time somebody had a group and they said, come and be part of our group. And the first time we had to sing, I got a huge colic and they had to call the ambulance. So it was terrible. I went through all kinds of things before. I was afraid of the microphone. And then little by little. And then about 2018, I am an esthetician, but I specialize in massage. So I work as a spa therapist in a 5-star spa.
Okay.
And I was there doing my massage, and I had on my worship music, the soundtracks. And I asked this lady, she was a Chinese lady, and she said to me, I said to her, do you mind the music? She said, no, I love Jesus. She said, do you understand the music? She said, yes, I love Jesus. And at the end she said, "May I pray for you?" I said, "Yes." And she said, "I really want to introduce you to my husband. He's our worship leader." And so I told her, I said, "I really love Jesus." I told her about the story that I wasn't able to sing, especially in church. Like, I started off singing with this band, but I could not sing. The church thing had a traumatic thing for me.
Yeah, from young.
Yes. Yeah. I kind of like associated in my mind the trauma of the church with singing in church, so I couldn't do it. And so she said, "But you're going to start writing songs." And I was like, And her husband...
Because up to that point, you didn't write before,
no.
correct? Right.
And I would never have attempted it because I would never have thought it would be possible.
Yeah.
And then her husband said, "You need to put the cell phone near to your bed. And God will give you songs, and you need to sing them right away, or else if you will forget, because they'll be inspired by the Holy Ghost, right?"
Wow.
And so I said, "Okay." And in fact, after a little while, maybe 2-3 months, I started getting like pieces of songs, and I just started to singing them into my cell phone. And after a while, I'd get another piece, and I'd sing that, and I'd started putting them together.
Wow.
Like, it did not come all at once.
Yes.
Maybe only one song, which was "Surrender," "Into His Open Arms," came all at once.
Wow.
Everything. But normally I get a little piece in, I sing it, and then another little piece, and I sing it, and then it comes together.
Wow.
Yes, and that is what happened. And it took me a while to even get the song produced and everything, because I just had it sitting there.
Yeah. And are you still in contact with the person who you met at the spa and prayed with you?
I am.
Yes, I'm sure she's so very happy to see just what she spoke come into being, you know?
Yes.
Really beautiful.
Really.
From that point, did you feel more at peace and comfortable singing in churches? Was there a shift in you in that regard as well?
It took the longest time. No, it did not. Okay. I went to my dad's church when I had already started to sing a little bit. She invited me to sing, and I had a complete panic attack. I was like, no, I couldn't do it. I went and, it took me the longest time. For me to act, if I can write a song and I can actually stand up and sing it in public, it's a big deal.
Yeah.
It's such a huge thing.
Yeah, I think the amazing thing for me is how God can use even the things that we are fearful of or we don't feel very confident in. God can show us, hey, I'm big, I'm God, I can still use you to do these things.
Yes, and even now if somebody says, get up and go and sing, I'm like, I need to prepare. I'm not sure if the tone. Is it the right tone? I really don't know. So I'm making all kinds of excuses. I say, you need to tell me so I can prepare myself mentally. You know?
Wow.
So
wow. And now we're speaking with Coleen, who has so many songs out on YouTube with music videos. So just, wow, incredible to hear your story.
I enjoy doing the videos. It's like the singing in front of people.
Behind the camera.
Yes, it's like, it's so strange. Like, I could be Coleen, but then becoming Coleen is somebody else.
Yes.
And so when I have to like do the music video, I am completely different.
Wow. And
there is absolutely no fear doing a video. Probably because I used to model. Because it's only just walking or doing something. It's not having to, it's strange.
What a process. Very interesting. Well, we're here speaking with Coleen on Inside the Industry, and we have some more coming up for you on another episode, so stay tuned. You're watching Caribbean Gospel TV.
Doing your best to not retaliate. Trying your hardest to concentrate. Doing to others like you'd have them do to you. Turning your mind from the hurtful things they put you through. Forgive instead. Forgive instead. Don't let it go to your head. Don't wish them dead. Forgive instead. Doing your best to not retaliate. Trying to love when it's easier to hate. Don't hate. Turning the other cheek, long suffering's a quality that he requires of you. Forget about hostility. Forgive instead. Forgive instead. Don't wish him dead. Try praying, go ahead. Forgive instead. Forgive instead. Don't wish him dead. Try praying, go ahead. Forgive instead. Forgive instead. Don't wish him dead. Try praying, go ahead. Forgive instead. Forgive instead. Don't wish him dead. Try praising, go ahead instead. They may never say sorry. You forgive them anyway.